Welcome, everyone, to the first week of the Mustang Broncos Basketball Coaches Show. I'm your host, Brody Feldman. Alongside me, boys head basketball coach, Scott Hodges. Coach, how you doing?
Great, Brody. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. This year, you have names like Jacoby Johnson, Ethan Scott. They both have a year of experience under their belt with you and your coaching staff. So, how are you guys feeling with the experience you got to build with this team last year in your first year here?
I think experience is something that you have to have at this level. And last year we kind of went through that at times where we looked like a really inexperienced team who hadn't played together. And so I think having that year under the belt where these guys got to play together is something that's invaluable, and I think it'll pay off this year for us. So we're still a work in progress. You know, we just got the football guys out a couple of weeks ago, so we still haven't had many practices with our full team. But we feel like we're a team who's just going to continue to get better. And that experience you talked about, I think, is a big part of it.
And I would be wrong to not add in their names like a Keegan Bass and a Jacob Henderson and people like that. So, I mean, you bring back a lot of experience. Can you just touch on who all you bring back from last year?
Well, we bring back probably 85% of our scoring and rebounding, which is exciting as a coach when you look at that. We lost a few key seniors, but we got a bunch of guys back that had that experience and that really played well for us last year. Names you mentioned, Ethan, Jacoby, Keegan, and Jacob, are probably our big four that everybody knows. I mean, they had great years last year, and freshman and sophomore last year, so sophomores and juniors this year. But we feel like the strength of our team is our team. And so we feel like that we're going to be able to surround those guys with some really good role players that maybe not a lot of people know about. Played JV last year, but really developed over the summer and this offseason that are really going to help us. Guys like Reese Strange, he's a 6'4", kind of a forward type kid that's going to have a good year. Senior CJ Young is a guard that just does a really good job passing and rebounding. Guys off the bench, Austin Smith and Bryson Sharp and Caden Bogard, Elliott Daugherty. I could go on and on. But a lot of guys, we feel like we can probably go 10 or 11 deep, which is, as a coach, is a good thing to have, especially with this COVID season. You never know who's going to be in and out. Yeah. And so we got a lot of guys that we feel like can really make plays. So it's exciting.
Awesome. Well, last year you guys finished the season 9-14, but like I said, you gained that experience. And as you said, young crew, freshmen, sophomores. How important is it, not just for those young guys, but as a team as a whole, to be able to play a whole year under a new coaching staff?
And that was another thing, too, is it was our first year. So the system was new and the expectations were new, and what we did on a daily basis was kind of brand new to them. So you added that with them not really ever playing together. Yeah. We had some good moments, but then we had some games where you could tell we hadn't played together. So like I said before, it's something that as a coach coming into year two, now I know that Coach Bass, Coach Blankenship, Coach Patterson, they've all kind of dealt with this too. You just feel so much more comfortable with what we do and the defensive concepts, what we're doing offensively, what we do in practice. They know what to expect, and so it just seems to run a lot more smoothly. So we think that when we start Friday, it's going to show on the court. Just getting these guys to continue to play hard and play together, and it's going to be a fun year.
You mentioned it. You start the season this Friday at home against Edmond Santa Fe before you hit the road for over a week. How are you guys feeling going into the season as a whole?
Yeah, well, it's a weird feeling. I was talking to Coach Bass about that earlier. We haven't scrimmaged much, and Edmond Santa Fe hasn't scrimmaged much. So you're kind of going into this game blind, like, let's just go play. And usually we know a lot about opponents, and so it's a little bit different this year, but we know it's just going to be a different year. But we're excited to play. We feel like it's a blessing that we're able to play right now with everything going on. And so we talk every day to our guys about don't take it for granted. The spring sports last year lost their season, and we're really blessed to just be able to come in every day and prepare. And that's a testament to our administration and the hard work that those guys have put in to give the kids and the coaches us ability to play. And so we're not taking it for granted, and we're going to go into every game and have fun.
And how is that as a coach? I know most coaches, detail-oriented, they have to know what to lay out. This week it's just like, let's go play, guys.
It sucks, honestly. I mean, it's hard. It really is. But you kind of have to approach this year differently than we've approached every other year. Yeah. Just because from week to week it may completely change. You may be without 2 or 3 of your starters. You may be, not have a game for a week. You just don't know. So I think and we talk to our players, it's about being flexible and just kind of rolling with the punches, and whatever happens, and staying prepared in the moment. And that's where that depth comes in. Like, you may be the 10th or 11th man one week, and then the next week you might be the 7th or 8th. You just really don't know. So staying prepared in practice and film session and the weight room is so important this year because, like I said, from week to week you never know.
And then with this whole pandemic that's going on right now, I know coaches and teams, they like to get together preseason and have a little team, family bonding and stuff like that. Have you been able to do anything like that, or did you have to kind of shake everything up?
We had to pretty much push all that aside. Really our goal as a coaching staff and as an athletic department is let's just get to the next game.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that we've been able to do in the past, team meals and having the kids over to the house, and I know football went through this, you just kind of have to push it back and just say, we hate that and we hate to lose that experience for the kids, but our ultimate goal is to get to the game and let us have a season. And so it's just kind of being flexible and understanding that's part of it. Wearing masks on the bus and doing all that's not the most fun thing, but we got to do what we got to do to be able to play. So we're ready for it.
Absolutely. Coach Hodges, thanks for taking the time and being with me. We're going to take a commercial break, and right after the commercial break, we'll have girls head basketball coach Katie Bass in and talk about their upcoming season.
Get low prices every day at Chevrolet. If you wanna rock a Chevy, got 500 new and used, like Camaro, Silverado, Chevy, Malibu, and Cruise. Bad credit, you can still buy. 50 lenders standing by. Hit up that Smickler Chevy app and search right from your phone, or head to Northwest Expressway and County Line Road. Get low prices every day at Smickler Chevrolet. SmicklerChevrolet.com.
Hey Oklahoma, it's barbecue time, and Swadley's is now serving world-famous steaks. Come on by and see us today or order online at swadleys.com. We're Swadley's world-famous barbecue, where faith and families come together.
Welcome back to the first week of the Mustang Broncos Basketball Coaches Show. Alongside me is now girls basketball coach Katie Bass. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm just glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We'll jump into it. You bring back a load of experience with 3 of your starters from last year, but you also add the University of Arkansas commit, Carly Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into the school district this offseason, how does a player like that add to a team that you already have so much experience with?
Well, I think last year we were kind of limited in our experience when it came to ball handling. We had a lot of great scorers, but handling the ball was something that we had to put girls in positions that weren't as comfortable and had to learn as the year went. So Carly coming in adds a more stronger guard. She can also, post up and do other things, but she can handle the ball pretty well, and she's a great passer and sees the floor. So she's kind of come in and helped us in that area. When you add players to an already experienced team, that can be tricky as a coach because that dynamic, especially girls. But she already knew a lot of them. They've all played together. My class of 2022 group is just very close, so that's nice. And so they accepted her with open arms, and she's come in right away. And, I think she at first was kind of like shocked about how hard we work. And we had to push her in areas that she's probably not as pushed as much. And she's just grown as a player, which has helped our team a lot. So
Awesome. And I know before the show, I didn't bring it up, but I heard you talking about another move-in.
Yeah, so Randy Harding is coming from us from California, Oakland, California, and she's another point guard. It's really fast, great defender, can guard the whole length of the court, tons of ball pressure. And another thing about these two girls that are coming in, which is nice for us too, is that not only are they great players, but they have a really high IQ. And that's nice and easier for a head coach when you can start adding on to the things that you need and you see in your team, and you can just keep building. And I think last year, Coach Hodges said, when they're so young, there's so many things you want to do because you see so much talent, but you have to keep reminding yourself that this is a process, and they're young and we will get there. And so it's nice this year. I have that sense of, I don't know, I feel very, not comfortable, but it's nice to coach them on a different level this year because they already know the system, and now we just keep building on. And bringing Randy in, like you said, has been great. Great kid. Her dad actually played for Carl Albert, and he ran Randall Harding, and he was a great player there. And so we're just excited to have these two to just add on to our already amazing group of girls. So
Awesome. The Rollins sisters bring a lot of energy on the court, along with a Talia Poe guy.
Yes.
How important is that to have that much energy? And then you even said Carly Johnson and extra coaches. I mean, you
Sure.
basically got 4 other coaches already on the court. I mean, how is that? How important is that?
So I think that those 3, because those 3 are starters from obviously last year. But I think the thing about them and just our team as a unit is that every day, the way I run my practices and the way we do things, it has to be energy, talking, communication at all times. And, digging that out of these girls this year wasn't as hard as last year because they were used to that. I think what I love about this team, probably more than any team I've ever coached, is that I don't have to coach hard work and energy. And that makes my life a lot easier. And it's just fun because they own it. They take responsibility for it. Jordan Rollins, she's a sophomore and she was a freshman last year, but she is very vocal with her mouth as a leader, and that's nice. You hear her always even telling our incoming freshmen what to do. She's always, yes, coach type of kid. They all are. But she brings also that leadership along with Talia Pogai. I mean, she's just great. Talia's kind of like the bond that brings everybody together. That's what I love about her. She reaches even like the freshmen that maybe not play as much to all the way up to seniors, and she makes sure that the team feels comfortable at all times. And it's special to have a kid like that, and to be able to coach her. And I'm just excited. I'll get to coach her for another 2 years. So
You could really tell how much Talia Pogai meant to the basketball team. During the volleyball state tournament, the whole basketball team shows
We
up
did.
and has her face on some
On some-
signs and
yes.
hooping and hollering, and so you could really tell then that
They love,
just love each other.
Yes, they do, and they support, and that's what we loved supporting the volleyball team. But yeah, we have a special place in our heart for her. And anytime she came in or did anything, we were like maybe a little over the top, but that's just how we are for each other. I mean, even when my varsity comes and watches like our JV play or our freshman play, I mean they're over the top excited, and that just makes those younger girls feel important and seen, and as a unit makes our program stronger, I think.
absolutely it does. You missed the state tournament last year by 1 game. I know. I'm
7
sorry
points.
to bring it up.
I always think that 7 points. It was.
I'm sorry to bring it up.
No,
I know
it's okay.
it's one of those to try and move past, but has that been a factor this offseason in how they're preparing for this upcoming season?
I think also the part about how the state tournament was kind of taken away from everybody, and even though we didn't make it, you still felt for those teams that didn't get to go all the way. That meant, so I think for all teams and basically as a society, we take this season not for granted. We don't take any practice for granted. We go in and we just have a different mindset. I think you can tell that kind of in your players a little bit. They just kind of work a little bit extra. They don't really complain as much because they know that at any moment this could be taken away from us. Yeah. And so, that was hard for us. We played a very good Sapulpa team that now is 5A, which is good for us. No, I'm just kidding. But they were very good. We just we played our butt off, and I think it was so great because we were pretty much all sophomores and freshmen last year. So now we're just even more mature, and we're still considered kind of a young team going into really being a lot of our players, our starters, are juniors and sophomores. So.
And I brought it up in the first half of the show with Coach Hodges. I know coaches like to get that team bonding How
Yes.
hard has that been this year with you and your group?
Well, girls, we really love that type of stuff, all the extra. And I'm a very loving of extra too. So we always go probably above and beyond the normal teams with team dinners and things like that. So, I added to my staff some really great coaches this year. Jamie Hill from Berry Hill, she's been a head coach her whole life. So that's been great. But she's really good at that stuff too. And so this year we tried to find little things to be able to still have that bonding. So we created this like little sister, big sister thing. And so they have all the upperclassmen have a freshman, and it was really fun because they kind of picked each other. They put who they thought would be, a big sister they would really like, and we tried to pair them according to how they kind of ranked each other. And it was surprising because some of them didn't realize that some of these girls really looked up to them. And so that was a great moment to see them like come together and talk to each other, and they give each other little gifts here and there in the locker room as a surprise. That's really like the only thing we could find that we could still do during this time, just to be able to find a little bit of team bonding.
Yeah.
But that has probably been really hard for us as girls because we look forward to those things a lot. But again, we always say it's worth it in the long run if we get to actually play. So
Absolutely. You begin the season this Friday at home against Edmond Santa Fe. But how are you feeling about the season as a whole, looking at the schedule?
I feel like we have something to prove a little bit more this year than last year, and I'm excited to open up with them. That's my alma mater, so I get to play Santa Fe. That's where I went. They have a new coach, and I think she came from OBU, and they're going to be a good team. But I feel like it'll be a great season opener for us, since we have Norman right around the corner, pre-ranked one, I think. Great team. Great, solid team. So it'll be a good game for us to get underneath our belt before we head into Norman and then our tournament that following weekend. I think that we're just going to take, and like Coach said, one game at a time. We're not going to really focus on Norman until we get through Santa Fe. We're not going to look at a tournament, until we get through Norman. So it's like every game we have to just focus on that. It's like he said, we're going into it completely blind. I've never had that. I've never gone into a game where I have no film on a team except from last year, but last year was a totally different coach, totally different system. Yeah. So I'm really blind. And so that's kind of difficult. So we're kind of looking at it as we're going to go in and we're going to play our game. This is what we're going to do. This is our strategy. And they're going to have to adjust to us. That's how we're looking at it. And so it's a different time. It's a different time.
How weird is it going to be Friday looking across the way at the other opposing coach and not seeing your dad coaching Edmond Santa Fe?
That's kind of weird for me because I still have not ever been able to pass the hump of actually beating him. So that's kind of what I was looking forward to. But he's at Newcastle now and he's enjoying coaching there. It will be weird for me because since he's been there, my entire life I felt like playing basketball. But, that's just part of life. Things change and go on and things like that. But, yeah, it'll be different. It'll be different. But we're ready. The girls are ready. I mean, every day we count down and we're ready to play. We're tired of practicing. I think we all are. We're just exhausted of that. Now, we're thankful we get to, but we just, we didn't get very many scrimmages in. And so we're ready to play. So.
Awesome. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for coming and being on the show this week along with Coach Hodges. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week on the second week of the Mustang Broncos Basketball Coaches Show.